Hello there, folks. I am XFL Jim, joined by one Tommy Auger. Tell me if I'm mispronouncing any of this shit, by the way. My man, tell the people about yourself. Who are you? Who is Tommy Auger? Let's start out with that.
So first of all, it's pronounced Auger. It's kind of weird.
Auger. I like that.
It's French. So yeah, it's basically, I never expected to get pronounced right. So that's all right. And then, so I'm a tight end. I'm currently living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I went to St. John's University, graduated in 2019. And then this past year I played in a pro league over in Austria. So right now I'm just kind of, training pretty hard and hoping to make the USFL or any of the spring leagues. Currently, I have a offer from the FCFL League, so I'm kind of weighing that in the options. But yeah,
I've talked with a couple of the guys who did fan controlled football. I think for someone of your stature, like your size, your position, you're kind of in that wide receiver, tight end, like a bigger wide receiver sort of role. I think fan controlled football wouldn't be the worst scenario. I definitely think I watched the film and whatnot. I watched your YouTube stuff. I definitely think one of these spring leagues should definitely be taking a look at you. So let's jump right into it. So I want to go right to your time in Europe and Austria. In 2021, when did you go and how long exactly were you there for?
Yeah, so it was actually end of 2020 and leading up into 2021 was a pretty crazy year for me because I started the year in a tax accounting role in just working from home. Decided to, reach out to some teams and see if they're still interested after 2020 basically like canceled the whole season. So I was still working the job I got right out of college, and then went over to Austria in about March, and they had kind of a goofy season set up for COVID reasons. They had a game every other week. So if like a team got COVID, they would basically have 13 days to get it all settled down. So it was only a 6-game season, and normally I think they do 10 or 12 over there. So it was really fun though. After the season, since unfortunately our team didn't make playoffs, but it gave me an extra month until my flight home. So I got to travel around and see. I think we saw like 8 countries or something like that. So it was a good experience overall. And the guys over there are really like willing to learn football, which is super cool because, a lot of the teams are maybe just 3 or 4 coaches and, guys who have only played 6-7 years of football instead of playing it from the time they're little. So it's really cool to be able to make an impact and make friends over there and hopefully kind of grow the game a little bit more worldwide as well.
That's what I'm about. I'm about the worldwide aspect of this football game. Everyone who's followed me knows I'm a big proponent of the X League. I was really hyping up the ELF. I love these Austrian leagues. Shout out, I think it's AFI.com that covers like every American Football International. It covers all that. I love those guys. And so I always recommend players, if you don't get an NFL shot right away, or if you don't know what you want to do, if you're still feeling football, just like you were saying, I always recommend doing one of these worldwide leagues, just maybe for one season, even just because it's a nice excuse to still play football and travel and see the world.
Definitely. And part of it too is I always kind of wanted to do a study abroad semester in college, but I had football in the fall, and then I also pitched for the baseball team in college. So I never had an open semester where I could do that. So it was kind of like 2 birds with 1 stone for me. It was getting to see the world a little bit and getting paid to play football. So it was a really good experience. And you brought up the ELF. Actually, my college quarterback, Jackson Erdman, he just signed with the Vienna Vikings. So
nice.
He's going to be quarterback for them next year. So yeah, he's going to Austria. And if I go to FCF, we basically like switch spots. So
that's pretty cool. I like that. So your time over there, how would you describe the level of play compared to your college level here in the States?
Yeah, that's a question I get a lot. And kind of what I always say to it is like the higher end players there, I feel like could definitely play college football at a good level. But because it's not the most popular sport and a lot of the better athletes are doing soccer, whatever it is, so it kind of falls off a lot quicker than it does in the States. But the competition's pretty decent over there. So it was a good was a good way to just keep playing football at a decently high level. But more of like the high end competition stuff that I've done lately is I got invited to the Hub football workout in California, and so that was a good chance for me to show what I can do against like guys from SEC schools and Big Ten schools.
So when you go down there for the Hub, where do they put you up? Like, how's that whole situation work out for you guys as players?
Yeah, so they just had a hotel in Chula Vista where it was, and then it was just a 1-day event, and they ran it like how they would run like an NFL workout, and it was like individual drills and then some routes on air and one-on-ones, and also they did like measurements with like weight and height and hand size and wingspan and all that stuff. So a little bit of a meat market feel, but it was good to go against good competition.
You got good hands? You got good size hands?
I wish they were a little bigger. They're like 9. They're a little over 9, which is kind of on the smaller end for tight ends. But I think it's pretty big for like for.
I think for a receiver, you're like that perfect. You're a big receiver. You're a speedy tight end. Go with that.
That was always kind of the when coming out of high school, I put up pretty big numbers in high school. I have the state record for receptions here in Minnesota, but I always kind of got knocked by D1 schools as too slow to play receiver and not tall enough or big enough to play tight end because I was 6'2", about 195 pounds coming out of high school, so not that big. Now I'm 6'3", 245, so I'm more of a correct size.
So being that size, what did you do to put on the weight? What did you do to bulk up?
I gotta credit a lot of it to the St. John's strength training program. I really bought into that and tried to put on a lot of weight. And I think I played my senior year at about 235, and then I've put on about 10 more pounds and actually lost a little bit of body fat since then. So just spending a lot of time in the gym and spending a lot of time, running routes and keeping the heart rate up to burn the bad weight and put on the good weight. So
you got a favorite workout?
I usually do it is push, pull, legs days, just rotate those 3 normally. And I would say I like legs the most because it feels like you accomplish the most, but there's something about doing like a push day where it's like triceps, chest, and shoulders where it just hits a little different. So I gotta credit that as my favorite one, I'd say. So
I feel you there. And then that leads me into the question. This is one of like 2 or 3 questions I ask every player I interview. What do you bench?
I think the last time I max benched, I got 335, but I can do the 225 bench reps 19. So
attaboy. Boy.
Yeah.
Those are not, hey, everyone listening, those are not rookie receiver numbers, by the way. Boom. Fucking love it. So going from that, what's your favorite thing about, like, what's your favorite aspect of, say, just a practice? You go like a college practice, a professional practice. What is your mindset going in to practice every single day?
Yeah, I absolutely love practices. A lot of guys on my like college team would kind of like the other guys in the tight ends group would sometimes be a little like, we have to go to practice. I genuinely, it's like one of my favorite things to do because I see it as like an opportunity to get better every day. So I actually love going to practice and like competing against other people because I'm a super competitive dude. So like if it's just a regular like blocking assignment on a play in practice, I'm not gonna let that other person win. No matter I'm not gonna take like one play off and let them win because it just like kind of stings me a little bit.
You're a get to go to practice guy, not a have to go to practice guy.
Yeah,
that's the vibe I'm getting right here.
Yeah.
Do you have like an after practice routine, or ritual? Because I remember I'm not an athlete, but even in high school, I always had the routine of after practice, I would go to, I don't know if they have in Minnesota, but I would go to Casey's. I would go to my general store, and I would get I would just load up on candy and soda as my reward for practice. It was terrible. It was terrible for me, but I would do that, or I would go and like treat myself to an actually decent meal.
Yeah, I always got to go get something to eat after because I feel like just like used up all my energy. But like especially during like 2 days, I would always do ice baths after because if you don't or you don't do ice baths or you don't stretch like after practice during 2 days, like those muscles the next day are so sore and you just feel like you're like walking with like 10-pound pants on. So yeah, usually try to get something like that that's at least going to make the next day a lot better.
You got to do the ice baths, folks, or at least do some stretching because I've made the mistake of like when I take weeks or months off from lifting and I get back into an actual workout routine and I don't stretch like a fucking moron and I'm just dead for like a week.
Yeah, it's like it's a lot more important than I think most people give it credit for because especially after workout, like a lot of people stretch before workout to get the get loose and all that stuff, but after I think is just as important.
You a hot yoga guy?
We did it after a few workouts just when we had like the gym membership in summers during college. But that is actually almost just as hard as any other workout. Like there's old ladies in there that just have like different type of like balance muscles. I don't know what it is, but they can hold positions forever where I'm just like, how are they doing that?
It's brutal.
It's actually pretty, it's like surprisingly brutal. Like you'd be like, oh, they're just kind of standing there in like a half squat for like 45 seconds. But after you do that for a whole hour, it's like, oh my God, this is brutal.
What from your time in Europe, what was your favorite place you visited during your month like abroad traveling?
Switzerland was super cool. Like the town I was in Austria was 15-20 minutes from the border of Switzerland. So we got to see like a good chunk of Switzerland. Like naturally, it's definitely the most beautiful place. I'd say Grindelwald and Lauterbrunnen were the two specific cities there, villages there that were the most beautiful. But Switzerland definitely has its drawbacks because it's got to be the most expensive place I've ever seen. Every town and village that it just like you're like, how do they pay these prices every day?
I went there once back in 2010, and yeah, it blows your mind. Like, because whenever you just normally think Switzerland, like three things come to my mind: it's mountains, it's banks, and it's like it's like survivalist stuff.
Yeah.
So I always just assume a lot of rich people live there.
I think they make a lot like of money because I know some guys would say like they would just like move 3 towns over and make like twice as much as they were making in Austria. So, or the other thing was the people on the Switzerland side of the border, they would come just drive 10 miles to get their groceries for half price and then save a little bit more money too. So
that's the crazy thing over there is you drive like however far, like I live in Nebraska. I drive to Iowa. The equivalent is driving to a different country over there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. You could hop on a train in 2 hours and you could be halfway across the continent, feels like, especially on those high-speed trains.
It's wild. Okay, 2 questions about food. 1, favorite thing to eat after a hard workout. 2, what was your favorite thing that you ate while in Austria?
Okay. So first one, I'm a creature of habit. I kind of developed it from my roommate who eats almost the same thing every day. I think probably for about 6 months now, I have like maybe max 10 things in my pantry. I go oatmeal, peanut butter, and bananas in the morning with a little scoop of protein powder for some taste. And then the rest of the day, if I'm trying to put on weight, it's pasta with meat sauce or chicken and rice, and and potatoes and corn, and that's about literally all I eat every day.
That is one of the most athlete answers I've gotten. Out of the like people I've interviewed, everyone's either like, yeah, I just do shakes throughout the day or chicken and rice. Chicken and rice is like the athlete go-to.
Yeah, I feel like you can tell a difference after you've eaten it like so many meals or so many days in a row, and just like you'd be like, oh yeah, it's kind of making a difference in my diet. So
eventually it just becomes fuel.
Yeah. And the weird part about it is I never get sick of it. I wake up every morning like I'm a dog that eats the same thing every day, and I'm just excited for my oatmeal in the morning. It's like
I I got a friend that's like that who just
Yeah.
eats the same thing every single day. I do that. I do that to an extent. I do it not probably with a healthy meat. I do it with hot links, where
Okay.
I do hot links like every single day, all the
Yeah.
time. And I think it's healthy, and I believe it's healthy, so that makes it healthy. Quick question, based off of what you said, protein powder flavor. What's your go-to?
I go cookies and cream usually
That's
if they have it,
solid.
and
That's a
if
good one.
not, I go chocolate just
Yep.
because it makes the I feel like it mixes with oatmeal the best.
I feel
So
like also chocolate is a way stronger flavor than the vanilla one. The vanilla one's kind of like it's a little bit weaker. The chocolate does help. It mixes with so much different stuff.
yeah, definitely. It's like that chocolate peanut butter combination too. So and plus I think I had like vanilla protein for like all through high school and maybe the first 2 years of college. So I had it for like 6 years straight, and now it's kind of one of those things where I just like I don't even like the smell of it really anymore because I've just had it way too many times where I'm like, yeah, gotta change up after that many
Yeah.
years of having
You
it. So
you do it for like almost a whole decade. You're just like, oh God, no, I can't go
yeah,
back.
yep.
So you said you were trying out. You're like really looking for the USFL to give you a shot, and I'd love to see that. Do you have any like? You don't really care where you end up in the USFL? Like, do you
Not like
care?
a
Like, do you have preference for cities? Like, do you have a location that you would root for?
no. Well, I don't. I honestly just want to play at the highest competition I can. So that would be any of those teams. But as far as like just for like family and friends being able to watch, the team in Michigan would be the closest to me. So
It's my
that would
team.
be
It's the Panthers.
the most. I mean, ideal. But I'm really open to any of it, anywhere I could get a chance.
And there is the caveat: we don't know. Like, it's not confirmed. There's still just rumors hanging out that they are playing the whole season in Birmingham this first season.
Okay.
So that could be a possibility, but that could be fun too. A nice little hub city.
Yeah.
You're used to being far away. It could be a fun
Very fun.
deal. I think the team should give you a shot. I would love even fan control football. I think they're just doing everything in Atlanta again.
Yep.
I wonder. I don't know exactly what their whole situation is. Like last time they did was early 2021, so there was still a lot of issues going on. They just hung up everyone in hotels. I wonder if they do that again. That'd be a real
I
interesting
think
deal.
they were pretty strict too, especially because last year was a little like there's a little bit more uncertainty with COVID, that it was pretty strict on like who could even visit the hotels while they were there. So yeah, I'm hoping it would be a little. I mean, I don't care too much, but it'd be nice if you could go out and see the surrounding areas a little bit on your free time.
Well, that's one of the cool things about like being able to be, if you are put in a hub city or situation that you're not in a place that you're used to. One of the fun aspects is if they let you out and go about, you get to kind of explore the city because you're going to be there for at least a few months.
Yeah, definitely. And I always like just like seeing new things and new experiences. So that'd be pretty cool. So
Do you have an NFL team that you root for?
yeah, I cheer for the Broncos because my godfather, when he grew up in Colorado, and he's got a son that's like 6 years older than me. So I always got his hand-me-down clothes when I was little, which meant like a lot of Broncos jerseys and Broncos shirts. So that kind of sparked my interest in the team. So, but the rest of my family cheers for the Vikings. But I cheer for the Vikings too, just as long as they're not playing Denver, pretty much.
That makes sense. I respect that. So, do you have what is your game time? Like, it is game day. Say you play 4 p.m. today, or let's say it's a night game, 6 p.m. Take me through your day. What do you do? What time do you wake up? Your morning routine up until like the kickoff.
Yeah. So normally, so I usually will watch a little bit film in the morning just to like really drill home like the things I need to focus on during the game, or whether it's like a certain tendency an opponent has, just to like kind of refresh it in my mind a little bit. I like to get to the field really early and like either just bike or roll out, or just kind of, because I don't like to let my mind on game day drift away from the game at all. So I pretty much the whole day I'm like locked in about game stuff. So I try to stay busy doing like rolling out so I can still think about the game, or stretching, or just getting on the field with a teammate and just playing like some light catch or something like that, then usually some lighter meals just like to feel a little bit faster during the day.
That's a smart move because I was back in my day, I was a big puke guy. So
You were?
lighter meals are always key, in my opinion.
Puke before the game out of like nervousness, or puke like at the end of the game, like just exhaustion?
Both, like before, during, and after sometimes.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah.
I never was a puke guy, but I had like high school teammates that were absolutely like before the game every single time they're puking in the locker room.
I always feel like high school football is where you meet the real psychos. Because we had a guy whose entire pregame ritual was he would blast music in his earbuds, which is normal, and then he would just slam his head into a locker as hard as he could, like 10 times, just so he could. And I quote, he would get pre-concussed so that it wouldn't affect him as much during the game.
Is that guy still alive today? Is he
as
doing
far as
all right?
I know, maybe I'll see him at my high school reunion next year. Maybe. Caveat, maybe.
I hope he's doing all right, because that getting pre-concussed doesn't sound like
He
the
was
best
not
idea.
what you would call a bright bulb.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like that John Henderson video that resurfaced where he's like having the trainer like slap him across the face. Or I think there was like a fullback for the Seahawks one year that like had to get like stitches in his forehead or something because he slammed his helmet against his head like in pregame intros.
The slap I get, because in some respects your body sometimes, for some of those players, your body just needs that initial contact.
Yeah.
Like just a slap I kind of get. Slamming your head into a locker or slamming a helmet into your face, that's some psycho behavior, man.
Yeah, absolutely. That is not – I don't get like aggressive like that before the game. During the game, like after you get the first couple hits, but I've never slammed my head into anything pregame. That's for sure.
So are you a big shit talker on the field, by the way? Because I know people that like they're super nice before and after the game, and they'll like initially apologize. Like when they're doing the coin toss, they'll apologize to the opponents because like they're just like, I'm just a different person once that ball is kicked off.
Yeah, a little, not like shit talking, but a little bit like a different person between the lines, because I get so zoned in and competitive that I feel bad for some things I do after the game, but it's not through like what I say. It's more just like
it's just your level of intensity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because like there's like some times where you almost are like just going through things without even really actively thinking about them, whether it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's more, I do that. It's more of a thing. I guess I should change what I said a little bit. It's more, I feel bad after like competitive things that other people are like not that competitive in. I won't feel bad, I guess, after a football game where we're playing another team that's trying as hard as they can, but we play like pickup basketball or something. Sometimes after I'm like, okay, you probably didn't have to back that person down so hard, and like stuff like that. I feel like when it's not like a clear competition, it's a little embarrassing.
But as someone who gets to watch that from the bylines, or that's happened to me, I love it. I love seeing someone hyper competitive, even if I'm not competitive, because at that point in the back of my head, I'm just laughing because I'm like, this is hilarious. This is amazing.
Yeah, and it's not like something you actively think about. It's just like something that just like starts happening, and you're just too late already at that point when you're going that hard.
What about so we're still going through the game ritual. Do you have a post-game ritual? Do you like do the same thing after a win or a loss, or do you do something different?
Definitely after a loss, I will watch too much film, because
like immediately.
Well, as soon as it gets uploaded, because
I'm saying like once the game's done.
Yeah, I guess so. Like later on that night, normally the film would be uploaded by then, because I won't sleep unless I can like pick apart the things that went wrong during the game, where I can, make some adjustments. So I definitely, especially after a loss, will watch film that night. Otherwise, I will not sleep. But I don't know. I don't get too crazy after games. I didn't really bars weren't even open in Austria when I was there. And then senior year I didn't drink during football season. So I would like go out with friends, but I'm pretty low key during during the year. And we didn't lose too many games in college, so I didn't have to stress about, watching film that evening too much.
There you go. That's a pretty good routine. So if you're not doing like an alcoholic beverage and you're going out with buds, what's your like go-to drink to go for?
Usually I usually just try to have
water
like,
guy?
yeah, or I'll have just like a cup in my hand, just like, it's kind of like almost like like socially comfortable thing, because the worst part about it is like everyone's like, why aren't you drinking? And it's like,
yep,
I kind of have bigger goals here that don't want it to be too short-sighted with everything, so usually I'll just have like a cup of water in my hand or whatever.
You hear that, folks? This is a smart man move. For anybody who doesn't like, everyone who watches me knows that I'm a very avid drinker. I'm a big seltzer guy myself, but for those of you who don't want to drink and don't like feel comfortable for any reason, this man is a focused machine. That's why he doesn't do it. But if you have any like uncomfortable reason to not drink, just have a cup. If you're at like a house party, just have a solo cup in your hand, and you could have water in it because people will just think it's vodka. You can just bring some soda if you want to just like sip on that. You're set. That's a pro gamer move.
Yeah, it's just because the worst part is having to answer the question like 10 times in one night.
Because every drunk person just like, hey man, why are you drinking? Come on,
especially as a Saturday night in college. So, but
I will freely admit I was that drunk asshole 1 or 2 times, at least, and yeah, I assume it's very annoying.
Yeah, well, and I kind of like earlier in college I would just go out with everyone else, but like by later on in college just kind of made that decision to focus a little bit more on especially during the season. So
a question I have for most offensive players is, especially you as a receiver, tight end, do you ever secretly hope that someone gets a pick, not on you in particular, but like someone gets an interception just so you can like lay someone out?
No, I've never hoped that. I've never actively thought about that. I did play defense a little bit in high school, so but I've gotten enough hitting in. I think I have the school record for tackles. There might be second, but so I've had my fair share of tackling. I've never hoped for that.
Okay. I've always wanted it because I always played defense was my go-to, so I don't know an offensive player's like mindset. But every time I step on a field, even now, I just want to hit someone. It's just it's ingrained in me.
I mean, you get to, especially as a tight end, you get to hit someone every run play. So
that's the other thing I was thinking. As the tight end scenario, you actually get your fair share of blocking.
Yeah. So yeah, that's never even crossed my mind, but yeah, I don't know.
So
sometimes like being on special teams too, you get a little bit of that action. So
yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
So with the USFL coming, we don't know exactly if they're going to be bending any of the rules or changing anything up like the XFL did in 2020. Do you have any specific rules you'd add to football to change it up and make it more fun?
I don't know even. I think like how the Canadian League does it, where the field's a little bit wider. I think that'd be kind of fun. Just spread it out a little bit more and give some more, not necessarily like how they have 12 players or some of the other rules, but I think the wider field's kind of sweet because it opens up a lot more opportunity for the passing game.
We take that. I would take another thing from the CFL. I would take their no pre-snap motion, like where you could just run as much as you want. There's no like illegal motion pre-snap. So you have receivers like sprinting up for the count and they like time it perfectly.
Gosh, yeah. I can't even imagine how hard that is as a deep. Like, I feel like playing D-back is hard enough, but like when someone gets a 5-yard, 10-yard running head start at you too, it's gotta be pretty tough to cover.
It's gotta be insane. That game, what would you think about playing potentially in the CFL?
I would love it. I know at that Hub Combine there was some CFL teams that were at least watching, and I think all of them get the film of it. So yeah,
I think so too. I was following a couple of CFL guys on Twitter, and they were talking about it.
Yeah. So I think too, though, they have like a limit on Americans the same way they do in Europe. So it doesn't make it a little bit tougher to get in there. Same way as like teams in Europe, they have even less spots, so it's really hard to get those spots. But yeah, I would definitely love it. I think that'd be super, super fun. And especially Minnesota, we're not that far from Canada, so.
Exactly. I always feel like that's the one. I don't know if it's necessarily a drawback, but I don't have a better word in the back of my head for these international leagues like the CFL or X League or anything like that, is they cap, so it makes it a little bit harder for American players to get their shot sometimes.
Yeah, but it also, like, I think
get why they do it.
Yeah, grow the game a little bit in those countries, because I think the local fans too like it when they get to cheer for, people from their hometown and stuff like that. So I get why they do it, but sometimes it makes it a little tougher than you'd hope. So
hey, though, there's alternate leagues spreading up all across America. Got USFL this year, XFL next year, FCF going on. It's a big world for football. I got 2 more questions for you, my friend. First one, what are your hobbies outside of football? Like, what do you do to like relax or recharge your batteries? What do you do for fun? Things like that.
I'd say the thing that I do the most probably with friends is, I don't know if you ever played Catan.
I've played it a couple times. I was a big D&D guy.
Okay. I like playing Catan. It's a good board game, strategy game, so something you can get competitive in still, but a lot more relaxing. So yeah, I go over to a buddy's house, and now actually for Christmas I got a Catan set, so with the extension pack we can play 6 players now, so it's pretty sweet.
There you go.
I like to do that, and we usually go like skiing once a year. I like going out to Montana and skiing for one week each year, and usually stuff like that where I can kind of still stay either competitive or active is always the things that kind of interest me the most. So yeah,
dude, I would hate playing Mario Party with you. I would hate it.
We had an N64 in college too, so we'd play Mario Party sometimes.
Oh, those games of chance, dude. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I would usually end up just getting killed. Especially, I'm terrible at video games. I'm no good at them. I don't have a console or anything here, so I never play them. And then when I play with friends, I just get absolutely killed in them, which makes me want to play them less.
That's fair. That's very fair. Okay, last question. It's the hashtag Garage Certified question. I ask this of every player, regardless of position. This is my usual. I sprinkle it in whenever. So look at me as a player. Size me up. Do you think you could take me in a fight? So just let me.
How big are you?
I am 6 foot, 240 pounds.
Yeah, I think so.
There we go. That's the fucking answer I want out of a player, especially someone who's like a tight end sort of position. I want them to have the confidence they could beat my ass. I got reprimanded at the CFL media days for asking that, by the way.
How many people did you ask it to?
I asked about 4 people, and I don't know if you know who Willie Jefferson is. He's a defensive end on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the #1 team in the league.
Okay.
So he's about I think he's like 6'6", like 260.
Okay.
And I asked him if he could beat my ass. He's like, "Fuck yeah, I could. I'll kick your ass right now."
Who even reprimanded you? Who
so I think what it was is someone, either someone for one of the teams, or one of the other media that were there were uncomfortable with that question, and the staff were super nice about it. They were like, "Hey, could you like how are you doing? You're enjoying your time here?" It's like, could you not ask that question? And I was like, okay, because you were so nice.
I feel like whoever reported you probably doesn't have much of a sense of humor.
I mean,
that's just like a funny question.
I understand. Like, I could see it in your eyes that you were 100% serious, that you would, if it came to it, beat my ass. And that's what I fucking love in a football player.
Yeah. Well, I think probably the players like it too. If they get to like answer a fun question every once in a while. So I'm it's kind of crappy that whoever just like reported you for that.
That's the only thing is I have no idea who specifically did it. Also, I feel like players in general get asked the same questions over and over again. So I try and like spice it up a little.
Yeah, I like that. So it makes you.
It's what makes XFL Jim, my man. Tommy, tell me again, Auger?
Auger, yeah.
Tommy Auger. I love it. My man needs to be in the USFL this year, the FCF this year, or the XFL next year, or the CFL, or the NFL. One of these leagues needs to pick you up, my man. Shout out anything that you got going on. I'll by the way, whenever I post this, I'm gonna have links to your film down below.
Great. Yeah. My Twitter and Instagram handle are both the same name. Tommy Auger, Auger 39. So you can follow
me. Is that
me
all just combined?
Updated. Yeah. No dots and no
underscores, no nothing.
Yeah.
Sick.
So yeah, check me out, and hopefully I can get in one of these leagues and keep moving up the ladder and impressing. So
that's the goal. Thank you for coming on, and I hope to see you playing in the USFL this year, my man.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.